Let's talk about Candid again today. Missed the last video, don't know what it is? Well, here are some headlines. Anonymous chat app Candid releases on Android and iOS. Uses AI to keep conversations civil and on topic. How one anonymous chat app uses AI to filter out trolls and terrible people. Candid, the anonymous chat app, enforces civility with AI. You get the idea. That's its gimmick. The AI is how it's hoping to succeed where other anonymous chat apps have failed. But I figured a lot of you guys might not know about the AI part of it, in spite of it being the main unique feature that was getting hyped everywhere, because you'd been sent directly to their site by people you trust who didn't mention it. And I also figured you might not like that, because for the most part, you're a free speech, fuck yeah crowd, and want to know every little thing like this. I was pretty shocked that the YouTubers advertising it wouldn't realize you'd want to know about its kinda spooky sounding machine learning self-improving censorship AI. So I made a vid pointing it out. I speculated as per usual, and ultimately suggested thinking twice about using it, or just being careful. Turns out, I helped a few of you make an informed choice about the products you use. Glad to have been of service, and hopefully with this video, I'll continue to be of use to you. Now, a few people who have been paid by Candid really didn't like my video, for some reason. Additionally, someone else a bit more important didn't like it either. Candid's CEO, Bindu Reddy. She DM'd me, and something I think's very strange happened, considering the burning hatred I expressed for the abomination she has unleashed onto the internet. You know, I thought I made my opinion on what I've watched and read very clear, much in the same way I do about anything else I just don't like. Bearing that in mind, let's see if you can spot what I found a bit off in the CEO's messages to me. I don't think you are representing us correctly. We are all for candid conversations. I am happy to chat with you phone. Hey, my email's, it's out there, but I'm not going to put it in this video. If you send me a statement regarding what you think is wrong with my video, along with anything else you want to say, I'll put it, unedited, at the top of my video's description. Sounds good. Thanks so much. Sending it now. By the way, do you want to do a call? I would love for you to do a video in more detail. I am looking for someone who can take the time to explain the point of Candid well. It would be great to have you do something. I definitely think it's worth a conversation. That's the point at which I decided, nah, everything in writing please. You get me? There are at least a couple ways that could go very, very badly, so I decided to avoid that path entirely. Anyway, I have some good news. You know that sweet, sweet transparency I wanted? We've got a little bit of that. After a few messages with the CEO, including a more lengthy message where I explained why some people are upset, including, for example, finding out an app that promised them, quote, unfiltered opinion, unquote, has a kind of filter as a main feature that's not made entirely obvious. The CEO said she'd have a blog post up in 1 or 2 days, and it ended up being finished in just a few hours. Before we dig in though, I want to make a small correction. Based on the Washington Post piece I read, I thought the badges the AI sticks on you were publicly visible, when currently they are not. Turns out their purpose isn't to change others' view of you, but to tell you what others' view of you is, and to get you to change. According to VentureBeat, back when the app was launched, Candid's CEO said, by giving people the hater badge, we hope to make haters more aware of their hate. Sorry. The idea is that they'll either leave the app, change their behavior, or could continue their ways and eventually be kicked out anyways. And today on her personal Medium page, she essentially confirmed that's what the badges are meant for. Finally, she writes, we want an app that encourages candid conversation, not an app that is going to be a cesspool of hate that becomes unusable. We have badges that are awarded to users to reflect their role in the candid community and help shape it. You see, it's just a system designed to let an AI label your role, influence your behavior, and shape the community in a certain way. Much better. No one could have any objections to or concerns about that, could they? While I'm at it, how about some more Candid app trivia? Let's make a game out of it. What percentage of posts made to the app do you think end up being moderated? Do you think end up being removed? Got a rough number in mind? Great. Let me read you something from a Fortune article that was published last month. But doesn't having a completely anonymous app encourage the worst possible behavior? trolling and spam and abuse of all kinds? Reddy, the CEO, admits that it does. More than 40% of what gets posted on Candid, and at times as much as 70%, is removed for those reasons, she says. Could be perfectly legitimate. You know, people breaking any clear rule, spam bots, people just posting the same thing over and over and over and over again so it gets cleaned up. I don't think anyone's worried about that getting removed. But the question is, do you trust them? Do you trust their AI? Couple thoughts I'm having is, as they scale this up, are they going to have people checking everything? And if they are, how long will it take from the time the bot pulls your comment to it being approved, if it's been falsely pulled? In the CEO's response to my video, she said, oh, it's just like YouTube's got the spam filter on YouTube. My first thought was, great, so it's like a fucking blight on mankind. In case you didn't know, in case you don't make videos and you don't have to deal with this, YouTube's filters are horrendous, and they constantly hide legit comments that you then have to wait for me to approve. Alright, on to the main event, the blog post. Does it clear everything up? Let's take a look. The importance of being candid. Recently, a number of Candid users expressed concern regarding our moderation and artificial intelligence system. As we at Candid believe in, well, candor, we'd like to take a moment to explain what this system is for and what it definitely isn't for. Candid's purpose is honest, unfiltered discussion. It is removed from the filters of social judgment that come with platforms where your identity is out for all to see. This is the purpose of Candid's anonymity. It is not intended for users to post anything and everything. Without moderation, online communities quickly become toxic, unfocused, and downright unusable. So, by unfiltered, they didn't mean without filter. They meant without a particular filter, but with other filters. And I really don't think it's quite that people want no moderation whatsoever. It's that they don't trust your moderation, especially after how they were led into the app. I mean, you can go on the CEO's Twitter and see her writing this. Expressing your unfiltered opinion and the ability to speak your mind freely doesn't mean spam and porn shouldn't be moderated. Come on. That's not fair commentary on the people who are upset at all. Let me burn into everyone's minds again. Why? A lot of people, including myself, have quite strong doubts about this service. In a video published by Intel just a week ago, she, the CEO of Candid, said,
all of our posts and comments on Candid go through an NLP algorithm which analyzes and detects sentiment, detects things like slander and hate speech. A machine is going to detect if you're being hateful or spiteful or annoying, and it's going to decide whether your comment or your post should stay on or this is something which should be taken out.
1 week ago. Burn that into your mind, please, and keep it there as we look at the rest of this post. Remember the YouTube Heroes thing where they said one thing that made people go, oh shit? And then after a reaction, the way things are said changes, but you know they really meant the first one. If you think what she said sounds like something that could be abused or could just be shit, don't doubt yourself just because the people behind this business are saying, no, it's fine. I'll ask again, do you trust these people? If you do, why? If you have a good reason, by all means, go ahead. If you don't, please think about that. Doubt me as well, of course. Look at this stuff I've shown you on your own. Look for new stuff. Anyway, let's continue with this blog post. We want our users to have a place to express themselves without having to worry about social reprisals. Additionally, we want to foster a community where debate, disagreement, and even controversy are allowed. That being said, Candid moderates posts based on a few simple guidelines. You can find the full list and explanations of these on our community guidelines page. These guidelines have been available in the iOS and Android app settings since Candid launched. As far as I can tell, that's absolutely true. Doesn't mean it's great though. I mean, they have the usual, we reserve the right to decide what counts as bullying or harassment. No hate speech. You're totally anonymous and we don't have any of your info, but we'll call the police on you if you do something wrong. And based on my reading of it, it doesn't have anything like what she said in the Intel video from a week ago. You know, about a bot judging whether something's annoying or not, and then deciding to remove it or not. Which brings me to a little story for you. I decided to tell Bindu Reddy about a video by Mundane Matt, one of the guys she paid to advertise her site, making a video that made her stuff look worse, because I thought it would be funny. I told her to look at the comments if she wanted to understand why people are so angry, and she hopped in to reply to some people directly. That's kinda cringe, right? A CEO hopping in like that. I don't know, I just sort of, my face involuntarily curled up. Something interesting, though, comes out of it. Let me show you. Now, the first bit, you can say whatever you like and not get trolled because it's anonymous. Sounds like a challenge to me. But what I want to focus on is the second mini paragraph. That's very different from saying we have no moderation whatsoever. Having no moderation would render the app totally useless. It would be overrun with spammers and low-quality posts. Low-quality posts, as far as I could find, is not terminology used on their website. But she uses it here, and she used it in her original response to my video. So what precisely is a low-quality post? Well, friends, we need wonder no more, because a genius stepped into that thread and cracked the code. Low-quality posts. So in other words, no shitposting on our app. Ideally, no, because people stop using that type of stuff in time. It's meaningless for people to read crap. They're coming for our shitposts! But seriously, what does this mean? A few different things could be happening here. It could mean that the CEO of a company that's made an app that's like image boards light and will attract anons from the chans has an AI that wipes away what she doesn't want, and she doesn't want shitposts. Fuck me. Alternatively, we have someone in that same position who isn't familiar with the term. But not only that, someone who we now know, when faced with terminology she's not familiar with, doesn't seem to look it up, but still gives a solid answer about what she wants on her product that she expects people to use and be moderated by. Either way, not a good look. Right, let's get back off this detour and back to the blog post. What content will be removed? Our combination of AI and human moderation removes candid posts that threaten or promote violence/self-harm. Sounds fine at first glance, but please remember the Intel video. I'm thinking of this in the context of this AI they're bragging about. What if someone makes a bad pun, and as part of a larger response to them, you quote them and say, "I swear to God I'm gonna hunt you down," as a joke? And to everyone that would be obvious, including to the person it was directed at. But the AI pulls it. And the person who posted it doesn't realize that's happened, and no one else knows that it's happened. Even if someone checks what the bot pulls, couldn't that take a while? Couldn't that mess up the conversation or whatever? And if people need to avoid talking like that, isn't it quite restrictive? You can talk like that on frickin' Twitter, which is garbage. And if it wouldn't pull it, and people want it to pull things like that when it's legitimately meant to be threatening, why should we trust it to do that when it is? Is it advanced enough or what? Because the CEO is on record saying, we've got this AI that tries to measure sentiment and then decide whether to remove stuff, these questions are going to float around now until it's absolutely clarified. Until the potential for stuff like this, for those who are curious, is fully outlined. Cat's out of the bag now. Maybe she was exaggerating for Intel. Who knows? People have heard her say this stuff now, so these questions are going to float up. Okay, it just hit me. I know how to explain what I'm thinking of. Don't you think just knowing that this bot's there will have a filtering effect on what people say? Since it's been described in such an AI horror kind of way. The machine will scan everything and label sentiment, deciding whether this is acceptable or not. Might I suggest getting some PR? So again, don't you think they're going to be thinking, even just in the back of their mind, okay, don't want to get caught by the bot. Right, next kind of content that will be removed. Anything that qualifies as hate speech, which is denigrating without constructive intent an entire race, gender, sexual orientation, or faith. For example, expressing vitriol against a movement like feminism is acceptable. Expressing vitriol against all women as a gender is hate speech. And their AI's algorithm is going to be detecting this, is it? Do you trust it? And do you trust their standards? How about a topic that potentially makes this sticky, like immigration? I could imagine that could get quite complicated. Maybe certain people I know of will have to talk quite carefully. I don't know. Sounds like it though. And there's room for interpretation, I think. What's allowed now might not be allowed later. Who knows? They've carefully crafted a nice slide so they can quickly copy more popular social media's slide into shite. Now, I try not to put down entire demographics unless it's in jest. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff you want to do anonymously, probably, because you will get tons of shit. What is this app for? If someone says a certain faith is garbage and they want to crush that faith because they think it's bad, and they give an argument, would that be allowed? Is their intent constructive because they think they're getting rid of a bad thing, or is it destructive because it's about destroying the faith? Alright, next. Anything that constitutes harassment. Now, here it says targeting individuals for libel or continual abuse. But if you take a little hop over to their community guidelines, you'll see it says, we reserve the right to determine what constitutes bullying and harassment. Did they just do that a second ago in their post? Or does this mean they'll always remove harassment? By the way, we decide on a whim what counts as harassment. Or even better, our robot decides. Nice. About as clear as a brick wall, guys. The rest are, if it's a graphic depiction of gore or violence, does that include cartoons, video game pictures and stuff? I think they have to have this rule, along with the nudity rule at the end, due to being distributed through the Apple and Google stores. Spam the community, yeah, fine. If someone's pumping out shite, like proper just going bleh, 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 or spamming links or something like that, you know, fine, cool, are irrelevant or off topic to the group or thread. Your staff and your AI is going to automatically decide that. Better make sure your bot is perfect, even if you have no ill intent, even if you're not trying to meddle. Something goes wrong in a politics group. Oh boy, if you don't like what happened after my video, you will shit your pants. Imagine the storm if this thing seems to remove negative comments about Trump or Hillary, or positive comments about them, even if it's just a little blip. Especially now people are a bit suspicious. Carrying on. Our users do not need to fear being censored, said the spider to the fly. Sorry. When it comes to their political leanings, stance on social issues, criticisms of institutions or ideologies, or their use of expletives to express themselves. Thank fuck for that. The community guidelines are there to keep the quality of discussion on Candid high, not to silence any one group or perspective. What's all this about artificial intelligence? In order to enforce these community guidelines, Candid employs an artificial intelligence moderation system. This AI model is specific to Candid and cannot be applied on other platforms. This means that we cannot train it with Candid's data and then sell it to other parties. Very nice to have that statement clearly put somewhere you can easily point people to. However, I presume they are still training it with Candid's data, they just can't sell it, right? Sounds to me like its users are part of a censorship AI experiment. And I was thinking yesterday, it doesn't matter if they sell it if you're worried about this kind of thing. If it does well, it'll be copied. Maybe you don't want it to do well. Just worth considering. Just putting it out there. Social media in general is already horrible enough with all this bullshit. I don't want to go, thumbs up, yeah, I love this being the core of a service. And finally, in this blog post, what about the money? Candid is currently not a monetized app. Like many other platforms before us, we are currently focused on building our community and creating the best user experience possible. We will not, I'd prefer it to say never, but that's probably the most nitpicking thing I've said, sell or share user data with any third party. All Candid user data is encrypted. If and when Candid begins to monetize, we will do so with complete transparency. Our users will know exactly what we are doing for monetization. Our users make Candid the great community it is. We will continue learning and improving to make the... Wait, did the AI write this? Continue learning and improving to make the best possible app for all of you. What if none of them actually exist and it is just the computer program? Oh shit! Boring Joe's gonna make a video about how this is what Harmful Opinions actually believes. Oh well. Just remember to turn your ad block on for him, folks. He's trying to lose some weight and the extra snack money doesn't help. Anyway, folks, I hope this was at least a little bit interesting. And just like before, I'm gonna say, think twice before you go for it. Even if you're not worried about it, is it actually the service you thought it was? Because I know quite a few people only learned about it through ads. And if it is what you thought it was and it looks good to you, of course, go ahead. I personally simply think it looks crappy in many, many different ways. Maybe you've noticed. But, as usual, that's just another one of my harmful opinions.